here. And as you will have heard, and we will remind people that this meeting has been recorded just so people who don't have the opportunity to join us today live can listen back to it later. Over to you, Caitlin.
Hello, my name is Caitlin. I am also on the Holman team. I am an associate in the communications department at Lighthouse for the Blind in San Francisco. And I'm going to pass it over to Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jennifer. I'm the Director of Development at the Lighthouse. I have had the pleasure of working at on the Holman Prize since its very inception about 4 or 5 years ago. And welcome.
And we also have a very special guest with us, the CEO of Lighthouse himself, Mr. Brian Bashan.
Thanks, Christina. Welcome all. This Holman Prize is near and dear to me. When we launched 4 or 5 years ago, there are many blindness organizations around the world that do a good job in training blind people on skills of blindness and other things. And there are many awards for blind people who have spent their careers doing things. And then when they're old, they get an award for a job well done. What Lighthouse wanted to do is stand that process on its head and issue prizes and awards for things that people want to do in the future. They're outrageous and that are things that people may not think blind people could do or are capable of doing. Of course, named after James Holman. Here was a guy 200 years ago who traveled around the world, did audacious things. All of his travels solo, by himself, no caretaker, no special attendant or any of that. And that philosophy is near and dear to us in San Francisco. The idea that blind people can do what they want, become who they wish to be, do good in the world through projects, or do good with themselves in self-betterment, education, training, and all of that. And so that's why we launched the Holman Prize, and you've now met the core team that administers the Holman Prize, and we want to leave this hour for your questions so you can make the best possible application, and that 3 of you can walk away with this amazing prize.
All right, thank you very much, Brian. So, Lee, is there anything that you'd love to add to that wonderful introduction?
I don't think I could. It was a very brilliant introduction. I just want to say that the idea of this meeting, as Brian said, is to answer all your questions. We've got a run of show. So what we thought we'd do is walk you through how the application works, and then we're going to talk to you about your video pictures, and then we're opening it up. So it'll be very informal, and this is your opportunity to kind of ask all those questions. So I'll throw it back to you, Christina.
Thank you, Lee. So now I'm going to have Jennifer Sachs talk a little bit about the application itself and kind of walk you guys through what's on it.
Great. So I have the application up. It's a really, really short form. The idea is that you're doing a 90-second video pitch with a very brief application at this time. And then if you're selected to move forward, there'll be a bigger application process with a budget, and we'll ask you a lot more information. So this form for this stage of the prize is on SurveyMonkey. The link is found on the Holman Prize website. And it asks you just some basic questions. And if anyone has any questions along the way, just raise your hand in Zoom, or you can physically raise your hand as long as your video is on, and we will try to get to you to ask your questions. And
Shall I just remind people of what the shortcut key is for raising their hands?
Yes.
So if you're using Windows, and we can do this a couple of times because I never remember, you can use the Alt+Y to raise your hand. And if you wouldn't mind lowering it again once you've asked your question, that would be very helpful. If you're using a Mac, you can press Options+Y, and the same thing applies if you're then lowering your hand. And if you're calling us on a phone, It's just so people know, it's *6 to toggle mute and unmute, and it's *9 to raise your hand.
And I
So
actually do.
go on, sorry, Christina.
I said, I actually do see somebody with us joining us via phone. So thank you.
Welcome.
Leslie.
Great.
Okay.
So the survey, as I said, has just a few brief questions. It asks for your first and last name. It asks for your preferred pronouns, he or she or them. It asks for your phone number with country and area code. Try to make that as complete as possible in case we need to call you. Birthday, it asks for your birth date, the month, date, and year. We will need your email address, as you can imagine, and your mailing address. And then it asks what your title is of your Holman year. So whatever it is that you are proposing, give it a cute name or any name, a name that fits. And then we want you to describe the major elements of your Holman year in 200 words or less. So a very brief description of what you plan to do during with the Holman Prize money and with your project. Then the next part is to insert your YouTube link. So the link to your 90-second pitch video. And we have one more fun question, which is actually optional. Can you tell us about your life? Perhaps includes studies, employment, hobbies, or activism. Just 200 words or less. So very, very brief. We ask about your current level of eyesight. So if you are blind, low vision, or partially sighted, or deafblind. And of course, we want to know how you heard about the Holman Prize, because we want to reach the most people ever. So we're really, it's important to us to know how you heard about it. So there's some a drop-down menu basically, or there actually, I guess, are multiple choice of things, ways that you might have heard about Holman Prize, and an other section in case you don't see how you found it. And then we ask you to upload a high resolution photo of yourself. But if you don't have one, don't worry, it's optional. We won't, it really has no call. You can do it or not do it, and it will not have any relevance to whether you are selected or not. And then we ask if you've read the frequently asked questions on our Holman Prize website with the link. And I absolutely think that's incredibly important because it answers so many questions. And then we ask that you initialize your names to say that everything you've said is true and you've read all of the appropriate documentation about the Holman Prize. So let me get back into the Zoom and see if anybody has any questions.
Yeah.
Great.
If anybody does have a question about the application process, do just raise your hand. We can wait a few minutes. Or a minute to see if anybody does. I always feel like we need some music for this bit. No questions about that?
It doesn't look like.
Yes, we have one.
I do see one.
Oh,
it looks like it went down.
okay. Mary, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Hi,
Hi.
can you hear me?
Yes. we can.
Loud and clear.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to know if the video pitch is actually need to be 90 seconds or it can be a little bit shorter. I know it cannot be more than, but I just want to make sure if we can make it like a little bit shorter. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Christina, would you like to take that one?
Sure, that's a great question, Mary. And the answer is it absolutely can be shorter than 90 seconds. You're right, it just can't be any more. If you feel like your best pitch, your most punchy, snappy pitch is under 90 seconds, then please make it under 90 seconds. And thank you, that is a great question.
Are there any other questions about that?
I see a
Thank you
question
so
in the
much.
chat.
Okay.
What is the profile that you hope for in the application? Women's, men's, people of the global South? I'm not sure I quite get it.
Anybody who has who is legally blind, has low vision, deaf blind can apply, who is over 18. I believe that that is the only restriction, is an age restriction. You must be over 18. And English speaking as well. Doesn't have to be your first or second or third language, but we would prefer for people to be fluent in English.
And you can apply if you're under 18, as long as you will be 18 by October when the Holman Prize begins.
Yeah.
And one restriction is you cannot be an employee of the Lighthouse, its board of directors, or have worked for the Lighthouse for the previous year and a half.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. Okay. Does anyone have any other questions before we move into some tips for shooting videos?
Go for it, Christina.
All
I
right.
think Mary had another question. Mary, would you like to unmute and ask your question if you indeed do have one?
Hi, yeah, I just have another question. I just wanted to know if, because I read on the website about some kind of documentation about proving the disability or the blindness whatsoever. What kind of particular documentation you asking for that, if you don't mind me asking?
Who'd like to take that one?
Sure. Mary, that's an excellent question. This is Christina again. So, that could be a note from a doctor, such as an ophthalmologist. It could be a note from the Social Security Administration, notification of legal blindness. It can be from, if you have a vocational rehabilitation counselor, anything like that would, from, someone that has evaluated you as a medical professional or as a certified counselor showing legal blindness would be a great step.
It's not required at this stage, though. So if you do get through to the semi-finalist stage, then we will ask for that. But at this stage, you don't need anything to certify your visual impairment. But thank you for asking the question.
Other questions?
Nope.
Okay, so I'm going to talk for just a few moments about some tips for shooting a video. So of course, you can shoot, a video with, what equipment you have. And the one thing that we do want to note, this question did come up in email. Your pitch video does need to be both audio and video. So, the good news is that we're not looking for, if you just have an iPhone and you don't have fancy production values, that's okay. We have had past Holman Prize winners whose video was just, them sitting in front of the camera and telling us their story. That's the thing. If you have an amazing idea and you sell it on that video, you've definitely got just as much chance of winning as someone with high production values, because we're looking for the content of the video. But, if you want to do high production values, then, go ahead, because that can be fun too, if you want to show us a little bit of your creativity. So I just want to talk about some tips. If you are going to do it, let's say with an iPhone, of course, an important thing is making sure you have a good lighting source. You want to face your lighting source. So like right now I am sitting and I have my window where, I could be looking out of my window. So I'm facing my window, if you want to face a light. If you have a brighter light, you may not actually want it right on your face, especially if you have light sensitivity. You might actually want it in front of you, but kind of slightly off to the side to provide some lighting for you. The thing that you don't want to do is have the lighting source below your face, unless you are going for that Halloween spooky effect. If that's your narrative, woo, then, of course, make that work for you. In terms of, if you, in terms of, looking for someone to help you kind of test your lighting, you could do a video chat call with someone on FaceTime or,
WhatsApp.
I was about to ask, does WhatsApp have video? So
Yes, it does.
yeah. So if you want, to check that and check how your lighting is, I would advise, if you can, to make your iPhone, if you're doing an iPhone stationary, unless you have a very, very, very steady hand, your video might wobble a bit. So if you have like a tripod, or you can even just like use like some really strong tape and tape it onto something. I know somebody that once just had some really strong tape and taped their iPhone to the wall. Now, I don't know how they got it off the wall, but So those are, some tips on lighting. Of course, you want to, I definitely highly recommend rehearsing your video before you, start recording it. Figure out how long it is, listen back to it. Everyone has a different process. Some people like to kind of type out what they're going to say and then practice saying it. Others just, go and talk. Sometimes people write like a little outline about the bullet points they want to cover. Of course, important things to mention, or of course, you're applying for the Holman Prize. You want to mention why. You want to mention what you're doing if you win the Holman Prize, what you would do with your Holman Prize funds if you win. Those are all things that we love to see that make a really compelling video. And the other thing to note is that if there's going to be some fun action in your video, I highly recommend describing it, because, one of the hallmarks of the Holman Prize is that the judges are blind. That's the beauty of it, is blind judges awarding prizes to other blind people. So if you've got something going on in your video, I highly recommend using some type of audio description. It can just be as simple as, and now I'm holding up a piece of the artwork I made, and, it's an oil, painting or a clay sculpture or something. Other things I recommend, if you're using voiceover, I would recommend muting speech, because when you're recording a video, you don't want somebody, to hear it hit the, the play button and the stop button. So, I would recommend doing that 3-finger double tap, or if you have Zoom enabled, a 3-finger triple tap to mute the speech, but still keep your voiceover gestures, so you can still, have voiceover on. So, a good tip would be to, with speech on, navigate to the play button so that you're focused on it, then disable speech, and then you can do your, position your thing, double tap, and go. So, those are just some little tips that I have for, best practices for shooting a video. As I said, the important points, tell your story. Doesn't have to be 90 seconds. If you think you can tell it in, 75 seconds, 80 seconds, even a minute, then do that, and we're really, we really love seeing all the different, creative ways people have to tell us why they want to apply for the Holman Prize. So I will stop here and see if any of my colleagues have anything they'd like to add to that, or if anybody has some questions.
I'd like to add that one of the questions that we get is, why do we ask for a video from people? The answer really is because it can be the most accessible medium, because you are able to speak and people can see you, and it gives you the opportunity to sell yourself and to present yourself. You can really jump out of the screen at us when you make your pitch. And the other reason is that we put the videos up on YouTube, or actually you put your video up on YouTube and you then put the link into your video, and then we make a playlist. And so people around the world can see what your video pitch is, and they can also vote on it. So as many people as see your video and, you know, like it and want you to win will like your video. And we take that into account as well.
I would also just like to add that when we hear the voice behind the story, we can hear your passion, we can hear your excitement for what your project is, and that really draws people in, and that's an important factor. So hearing how excited you are and how passionate and how driven you are to make this ambitious dream happen, we love that. So share your excitement with us in the video.
Exactly. It's all about your passion for your idea.
Exactly. All right, let me check the chat here and see what's. All right, I see a question in the chat. It says, I have a question. How many seconds how long does the video have to be? Can I speak in Spanish and put subtitles in English? So the, you know, the Holman Prize, you know, for this prize, we do have to have your videos in English. Now, if you want to include, you know, a bilingual component, you can, you know, but we do need to have, you know, why you're applying, what you would do with the Holman Prize, you know, that does need to be in English. Now, you are welcome, of course, to include subtitles. In fact, that does make it more accessible for people who are deaf or hard of hearing. But you do need to present your pitch in English.
And your subtitles could be in other languages should you choose. But yes, we would ask that people would present their videos in English.
And we have
sorry.
another question.
Yep.
From Janetta Price. Would you like to unmute and ask your question, Janetta?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm a little nervous, and
Okay.
So are we, Janetta. Don't worry.
Nervous
Oh
means
my
though you're
God.
excited. That means you can.
I'm definitely excited. I'm just overwhelmed, just with joy with the opportunity. I've thought about doing this for a while, and I'm just really stepping out on faith. I just wanted to just to clarify like some of the things for the Holman Prize for the video. It said these are like, I know you mentioned like 3 things that we need to have in that video, and I was trying to take notes. One is why are you applying for the Holman Prize, that need to be stated in the video, and the other one that I received is what would you do with the money? Was it something that I missed?
I think we said what your project, what your prize is. So what you plan to do with it. And how. So it's kind of like a what, why, and how. If you kind of think of it in those three terms. So what would you do with the Holman Prize? Why do you think you are a great recipient for the Holman Prize? And how would you carry out your Holman Prize? Does that help?
Yes, that's what I was missing. Why do you think you'll be a great recipient for the Holman Prize? Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so
Pleasure. Are there any other questions? That's a really good question. Actually, it helps kind of break it down into the components that we need. So that's an excellent question.
You can also try checking out previous year's candidate videos if that gives you an idea of how you want to do your video. You can pick up some do's and don'ts, the kind of just how people kind of do their pitch. This is me, this is what I want to do, this is why I think I'd be great for Holman, and this is how I would use my prize. So you can definitely look at previous years as a resource.
That's a great tip.
That's a great one. Okay, so I think we're going to kind of move into the general Q&A session. So, you know, any questions you have, we are here for you. And once again, you can raise your hand with Alt-Y on a Windows device, Option Y on an Apple, on a Mac, I should say. And, oh, is it star?
Star 9.
Star 9. Yeah, I was getting 6 and 9 confused.
Yeah,
You're on the phone, star 9. Thank you, Lee. Thank you.
it's all right.
Or of course, if you want to write them in chat, that's also a totally valid option.
Yep. So Janetta Price, your hand is still raised. Did you have another question?
Well, I didn't realize my hand was still raised. I didn't
That's
put
all
it
right.
down. But yes,
It's okay.
I do. I do. Since I have the floor, I'm a spoken word artist, and I have some pre-recorded material like me reciting. And so I was just wondering, would that be okay to incorporate some of my spoken word in my pitch as well?
I think that would be
Absolutely.
Okay.
If your Holman ambition is around what you do, and then absolutely incorporate anything that is going to sell the idea to the judges.
Yes, so that's what my Holman Prize will be centered around, is
Okay.
spoken word.
Don't
Yes.
tell anybody. Keep your
Oh.
idea to yourself.
Oh, chicken thunder. I'm sorry. Okay, I told you.
It's all right. It's okay.
All
And
right.
we
Thank
have
you, ladies.
another hand raised. Sam Valer, I'm going to mess up your name. I'm sorry. Sam Valanis?
Valavanis.
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 What
Sorry.
a great name.
Yes, thank you. It's of Greek heritage. So I'm actually like Australian Greek, so I'm kind of half. But
Fellow
I'm
Australian, sorry. Hi.
I was about to say, leave.
Yes. So I'm actually here with my dad, and whose laptop I'm using at the moment. So, but my question is about how the duration of how long you have to complete all components of the Holman Prize once you've been selected. So, I heard that you've got like 12 months or so, but does that include just the main component, or does that include all components of the project that you're choosing to do?
Jen, do you want to take that?
Sure. So generally it is 12 months. If there's some circumstances where you need a bit of an extension, then, we'll have to talk to us. Or you can talk about that if you're selected as a semifinalist in your proposal. But generally speaking, I would think 1 year is what we're going for.
So if you are selected, generally what's been happening, as this is only my second Holman experience, but generally the Holman year kind of begins in October and ends in October now, because we all know that we're in the middle of a pandemic. We are, we can be quite flexible on how people, spend their time and use their year, and we're happy to work with you to make your Holman dream happen. So, but it's generally a year. Yes.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you. It's nice to hear an Aussie accent, just saying. Not that I'm not happy to hear every other accent as well, but I'm a little bit partial to the Aussie. We've got another
question. It's just a phone number, a 970 number. You're on.
You'd like to unmute. *6 if you'd like to unmute on the phone. Or is it the other way around? Oh my goodness.
Let's see. right. Well, I believe we can unmute the participant on the phone if needed to.
Yeah, *6 to unmute if you're on the phone, you'd like to ask a question. Oh. No more questions? Oh, we've got 2 raised hands, I believe. Can anyone spot?
I have a question.
Hi.
I'm Matthias from Argentina. I have a doubt regarding with the duration of the video. How many seconds I don't understand, and how many seconds had to be the video.
Sure. So the video can be up to 90 seconds or 1 minute and 30 seconds. It can't be longer than that, but it can certainly be shorter than that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Was there another raised hand? Is my computer telling me?
No,
things
I
that
do
aren't
believe,
true?
I know our phone participant does have their hand raised.
Okay.
I don't believe that we can unmute though. What I can say though is that if you're not able to unmute, you can send us an email with your question to Holman, HOLMAN, at lighthouse-sf.org. That's LIGHTHOUSE-SF as in San Francisco.org. So if you're not able to get your question here, please do send it to the Holman Prize team, and we'll definitely answer it.
It looks like we have a
Hello.
questions.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, am I unmuted?
You are.
You are.
Oh, okay. I tried somehow my phone hates Zoom and it doesn't unmute well. Okay. Should we assume people will really be able to travel?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting question and an interesting issue that you raise. My feeling is if your pitch does involve travel, then you should probably put it in. And we can, see what happens. Nobody really knows at this point what's going to happen with the pandemic. But certainly, I would say if you could work your Holman proposal so that the travel is perhaps towards the end, then you might, find, if you can think about it, that you travel towards the end, then it may work. We really are just going to have to see and go with it. I would say that if you were to get through to the semi-final and your pitch involved travel, then we would probably, want to talk to you about having a backup plan and a way of still being able to achieve what you want to achieve, but perhaps doing it differently. The Holman Prize winners from last year and also from this year have had to deal with the same kinds of challenges. So we are, as we all are in these situations, learning as we go, and they are learning as they go, which is great because that's what being part of the Holman experience is about. It's about self-growth and it's about learning. And it's about being able to improvise and pivot as we've all had to do. So that's what I would say is think about what the alternative might be were it not to happen, but a plan for it to happen.
Good answer.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And Aziza, it looks like you have a question.
Hi, I was just wondering if there was any parameters for what's allowed in the video. I haven't watched all the videos ever, but I've seen a few. And usually it's just one person, but my concept has potentially like some prototypes, and I have a team that would be working with me. Are they like allowed to be in there? Can they say hi? Like, can I introduce them? Or is it just me and my idea?
I can take that one. So I think you can have anyone that you want in your pitch video. But just know that part of the Holman Prize is that the blind person is the lead in the project. If it's going to be a successful project, then it's going to have there could be a group of people, but as you need to be the leader of the group.
Yes, in this case, I would be essentially like hiring them to produce and things. So
yeah, if you think that they would add to the video, then have them in it.
okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
How about Cyril?
Can I just ask that once you've asked your question, if you could please mute yourselves, because we're getting a little bit of feedback from
How do you mute it? I tried *6
I think
again.
I can mute for you. Don't worry.
Thank you, Jen.
Okay, Cyril.
Cyril.
Hi, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Are we saying your name correctly?
It's Cyril.
Cyril. I had a feeling I
Great.
wasn't getting that right.
Okay, I would like to know what will happen in the finals round.
Ooh,
Hey,
I like somebody who's ambitious and like, yeah, I'm going to get through to the final. I'm there. Who would like to take that? Maybe Jen and Christina, you could double.
Yeah. So I think, Jen, that maybe we should just kind of quickly, kind of cover the middle round between that, the middleman.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate the ambition of going to the end, but we want to make sure you know the process too. So Jen, do you want to talk about the semifinals and I'll talk about the finals?
Sure. So we choose some number of semifinalists. It can be any number that we think are worthy, basically. And from that group, each of you has to do a much more full proposal. It includes a budget. It has quite a few more questions. It has the proof of blindness that we discussed earlier. It has a bunch of things like that. And at that point, then a group of judges will then whittle it down to a smaller number, which are the actual semifinalists.
Finalists?
Oh, finalists, right. Those were the semifinalists. I get that messed up. Sorry. So the next smaller group of people that all create a budget and a proposal are the semifinalists, and then judges select the finalists.
Great. Thank you, Jen. And then if you are selected to be a finalist, we will do, an interview with you. It can be, on Zoom. Of course, you can call in over the phone as well, but you'll have somebody call you and, you'll have a conversation about your Holman Prize.
Ask you the tough questions.
Yes. And why, you ask? Because then in the very final round, the judges will listen to all of those, wonderful interviews. And, we just kind of want to hear from you in your own words, hear you talk about, what you're doing with it. And, we want to challenge you to, tell us your idea in your own words, kind of unscripted, as it were, because of course with the video, you can rehearse it, but, we also just want to hear you just talk in a candid conversation about, what the work you plan to do with the Holman Prize.
And throughout this process, if you are selected for the semifinals, and from the semifinal, if you then are selected to go into the final, we are in contact with you You're able to ask us questions. Obviously, we can't give you any direction, but you can ask us questions about your proposals or your budgets. We don't want to put people off, but there is a fair amount of thinking that we ask people to do about how they're going to do their complete their Holman year, as it were, before they put it in, so that you can put in the best proposal for the judges. The judges who are judging the final round are all eminent people from the kind of blindness community, and they come and to be a part of this. They love doing it. It's great fun, but they give of their time and they go through all the proposals very, very carefully. And it's quite a process, if you can imagine. Some of these things are very big. So we ask people to really think about what they want to do.
Great points, Lee. Thank you. All right, I see a question in chat from Janetta. How many videos are selected to move to the next round?
Brian, are you still with us?
I am here. Yes, absolutely.
Would you like to answer that? Haven't heard from you for a little while.
From the semifinalist to finalist, that one?
Well, I would say I would maybe say from both. So from this to the semis and then semis to the finals.
Yeah, I think, let's see, if memory serves, about a third of people who apply go to the semifinalist round, and about a third of those go into the finalist round. So that's a rough count. Of course, we don't know it in a year until, a minute before the deadline, how many people are going to apply. So it's hard to say exactly, but that's basically, we winnow it down little by little. So we don't have everybody apply for the full package, because not everybody's going to be selected. So that's how it goes forward.
But you can always apply again next year if you're not selected this year.
In the finalists, there's usually 12 to 15 finalists, something in that range, out of which the distinguished international panel of blind judges select the 3. So that's the final sudden death weekend that we all participate in.
And how many judges do we normally have at the final judging?
I think, again, around 12 to 14 judges, something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think it was about that.
It's important to have the judges. There are a few Lighthouse employees on the panel or board members, but overwhelmingly the judges are not Lighthouse people. So we keep a balance of who's doing the judging. They all are accomplished blind people and have very differing perspectives. So we get a really good discussion.
Great.
Was there another question?
Sam, you have another question?
Yes, hi, it's Jim Samsdad here. I had a question with regards to the timeline. So from this round to the semis to the finals, is there a number of months that this process takes? I would assume it does, because it's such a lengthy process to whittle down to the finals.
Yeah, I can take that one. So basically, it's sometime probably in the beginning of July that we will actually have new Holman Prize winners, 3 selected.
Okay.
So the next few months are very busy.
Yes, they are.
Cyril, do you have another question?
Yes, I do have another question. After the announcement of winners, what will happen? And there's a part in the frequently asked questions. I just want to clarify if why do the winners have to go back to San Francisco in winter 2022?
Jen.
Yeah, I think that timing may not be particularly perfect, but we'll see. We want you to come back because we're going to have a big gala and celebrate our prize winners. The dates have gotten all messed up because of COVID, as you can imagine. So I can't say we'll actually be in December of 2022, but we want to have you come and be part of the big celebration.
And I will say the winners having to, will say, we get to come to San Francisco. Who wouldn't want it? We will pay your trip expenses, put you up, have you meet all kinds of interesting people, and be part of a general celebration about your accomplishments.
Thank you.
Are there any other remaining questions?
Well, if there are not,
All right.
did you want to just, would you like to sign off, Brian, and say some final rousing words?
I just want to say, for our experience at the Lighthouse, the chance each year to listen to the aspirations of blind people around the world, which are changing and always surprising and refreshing, that's a singular experience. I think few in the world are as privileged as we are to get, we sit in a room and we watch video after video after video, and you can't go through that experience and emerge the same person. You just have a sense of the aspirations, the quests, and the needs of blind around the world. Blind people like me, who when I was young had no idea that any of this was possible. And through my experience of meeting accomplished blind people, it changes you, it changes me, it changes all of us. So that's one of the reasons why we do a Holman Prize, is so that blind folks who may be isolated, separate, never seen a capable blind person, now will see hundreds of them. And you can't go back. You can't unscramble that egg after you've done it. So I want to thank you each for the hard work and doing something that involves video and writing and maybe later applications and all that. It really is worth it. So thank you.
Shall we give the Holman Prize website address just for the last time? And I just want to echo what Brian says. It is absolutely a changing experience, and you can look at all of those videos on the playlist as well. So Christina, do you want to give out the website address?
I do, but first I want to say you are so welcome. Janetta wrote us a very nice note in chat, how much.
Thank you, Janetta.
The Q&A. So, and thank you for coming. And also Sam, thank you for coming. We so much appreciate your interest in the Holman Prize. So the address is holmanprize.org. That's HOLMANPRIZE.org. And I will actually just drop it in the chat too.
And if you do have any more questions, or you simply want to clarify something, you can always email Holman, HOLMAN, at lighthouse-sf for San Francisco.org.
You can also follow us on all the social media platforms at Holman Prize, HOLMANPRIZE. We are on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Lighthouse SF is our handle on Reddit, where we do lots of posts about Holman on there as well. So follow us and we'll keep you updated. And yeah, thank you everyone for participating.
And we hope you all apply and wish you all the best of luck.
Yes, good luck.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Okay, thank you all. And have a lovely rest of your day or evening. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.